So the SLS Mock Government Club started 6 years ago. The purpose of the club is to give students an introduction into how government functions and the possibility of exploring careers in government. It's open to all high school grade levels. We typically encourage our seniors to take on leadership roles, but we do open up to the entire high school, grades 9 through 12.
So as sponsors for the club to prepare for the year, we start off usually just with recruitment. Typically, we have a lot of return students from the lower levels that just push up into the club. And then on top of that, we do make sure that we're aware of the current issues that the students would be interested in at the local level, finding and helping brainstorm with them as they come up with ideas and narrow it down to one specific topic or issue that they want to explore and dive into for the year.
Yeah, I'd add that the start of the school year is always our busiest time. We have to make sure the students understand the purpose of the club straight away. That's where having the seniors mentor the younger kids is very helpful. In addition to that, we have to get an understanding of what the kids are passionate about, what they're interested about. Mr. Soltero mentioned the brainstorming. We'll have a brainstorming session with the students, and it takes several weeks to narrow those ideas down into areas of focus that we'll then focus on for the rest of the school year.
So typically, anytime we have any type of guest speaker coming to visit, it's usually on base with the issues that we're working on. So the kids will do research on the speakers prior to the visit, and we'll usually come up with several questions that we will submit to whoever's representing that speaker, if it's not them themselves, just to make sure that there's nothing awkward or strange when the speaker comes, that there's a clear understanding of why they're coming and what the students want to ask.
Yeah, we always make sure that the students research what those candidates' positions are. Part of the club is trying to make them understand how they could get legislation passed and how they could get their voices heard. And a big part of that is identifying elected officials and government leaders who share their beliefs and have a similar idea to what they have. And then by doing that background research, they're able to get their agenda across in a more direct way, in a more professional way, because we do want them to model how that environment would look if they were doing an internship or working in a professional position.
And there are some times as well where we do have someone that will come speak to us who might be on the other side of what the students believe. And the students are very aware of the position that that representative or speaker stands for. And they're very respectful, and that's just an opportunity for those students to understand the other side and what perspective that speaker has and wants to share with the kids, just so that they have a balanced understanding of why someone believes differently than them.
This year has been different because of COVID, but in a typical school year, the end of the year is usually a big event where the students essentially present the legislation they've been working on, the bills they've been working on, the laws they've been working on. In years where the Texas legislature is in session, they go to the Texas legislature during the session and they try to meet with elected officials to actually get bills sponsored, get bills debated in the House floor. In years where the legislature is not in session, we'll have the students meet with clubs from other schools, and they basically present their ideas, and it's almost like a mock session of government, and they debate amendments, they vote on it, and that's typically what the end of the year looks like.
So during the pandemic, since we don't have that opportunity to go through the legislation like Jeremy spoke about, the students have just been spending the end of the year kind of brainstorming and preparing for the next year, trying to get some of the ideas that they want to start planning for the next year, try to eliminate some of that time and focusing on the issues that come into play.
And at the end of this year, we were able to try to get something productive done with the students. The students this year focused on homelessness in Austin as an issue. So they did spend some time doing phone banking for Proposition B and trying to get the vote out for that. Again, normally that would be something where they'd actually meet with city officials. We had something planned, but then the February storm hit and kind of disrupted those plans too. But the students were able to stay involved, stay engaged, and do something with like a real world impact to it.
So I think we averaged out probably about 3 hours a week. 1 hour that we'll spend with the kids in a classroom after school, working with them, whether they're in their groups working on separate issues while brainstorming, or when we've narrowed it down to the one issue that they want to tackle. And then outside of that hour, the students do, along with us, will do research and help prepare for whether we're looking for another guest speaker or representative to speak with, or like Jeremy mentioned earlier, spending that time perhaps even phone banking or seeing what type of other activities the students can get involved with that deal with the issues that we're working on.
And like Alex mentioned, it's average about 3 hours a week. Some weeks we do significantly more. When we do take trips to the Capitol, those are basically all-day events. We have done trips in the weekend. We've done overnight trips at the end of the year too, a couple times. So 3 hours per week is an average. Sometimes it's just the hour in class. Sometimes it's significantly longer. But that's a fair average, I think.
So typically it's the upperclassmen that will stand in as leaders and just help be models to the younger students who do end up just growing with the club. But the students are expected to participate with each other. Actually really cool and great when we have such a diverse group of kids who can, come together on one issue after that brainstorming process at the beginning and kind of add perspectives from, a variety of these students.
Yeah, and then the other thing we expect them is when they are meeting with people to present themselves in a professional manner, make sure they're not just, not paying attention, make sure their questions are on point, make sure what they're talking about is something that's relevant to both them and the person with whom they're speaking. But as far as expectations go, yeah, Alex said it pretty well. We have very high expectations to them. We expect them to act as an active member of the club. We've never really had too much of an issue with students who aren't participating regularly because we up front tell the students how much work it's going to be, and then the students who choose to remain are typically those ones who are really interested in the ideas of the club and what it is they can get out of it.
Okay. As the club continues to grow, what kind of future do you envision it having?
So I think we've talked about this a little bit, and one of the things we would like to see is it grow to multiple campuses so that at the end of the year we do get even more diverse opinions. So it's not just our campus, it's that greater diversity. We would like to see more of our legislation taken up by state representatives and state senators. We've had one bill taken up. It was debated in the House 2 years ago. It wasn't passed out of committee. And we would really like to see more and more students getting internship opportunities and things like that.
And then, along with that, like Jeremy mentioned, we do work with other schools and other campuses. We'd like to see it grow and reach out to other harmonies and other schools as well in the area where we can also just do a lot more collaborative work with them. We've had opportunities in the past to work with schools that weren't associated with us. And it was just a great opportunity for these kids to, interact with a different student base that they normally wouldn't in a regular world. So I think just more opportunities to collaborate with students, just not even in our area, but maybe even the state as well. I think some of the best things that I like about the club is when, we're always surprised. We always expect our kids to do well when we're speaking with guests or working with other students, but it's just a great opportunity to actually feel proud of our students because they always seem to surprise us no matter how high of expectations we have of them. When we do have the opportunity to take these end of the school year trips, it's just really nice to have these students and see them have these opportunities to visit other cities and see kind of where the history of our government comes from.
Yeah, being able to watch our students interact both with peers at other schools and with people who work in government is always really rewarding because we get to see them put in the work from day one, especially the kids who are seniors who we knew as freshmen, and just see them mature and grow and get confident in their abilities to hold their own in discussions with, again, adults who do this for a living and their peers is really, really rewarding. we have seen a couple of our former students move on to internships, and that's always something fun to see when we take the new students to the Capitol and we see the former students there working as interns. But those are probably our highlights. So the one thing I've always mentioned I think is important is at a lot of schools, ours is no different. Students end up getting like in pipelines with their peers, and it's the same student group goes from class to class and grade to grade. Because we don't have any prerequisites for our club and it's open to all students 9 through 12, I think we get like Alex mentioned, a great diversity of opinion, but we expose our students to their peers who they would never have met otherwise. And it's not only just through the grades, but just across the spectrum of people within the same grade. They might never have run into each other otherwise. And I think outside of sports, this is one of the few opportunities for those students to do that.